Heard the buzz around Google's new Cloud Connect. They make a claim that it makes Office better. Let's see the reality. I'm going to start in Office 2010. First, I'm going to save a document and sync it up to the Google Doc list. We have it set to automatically sync, so I have to be careful when opening and saving documents, because when it's on auto sync, all documents you open and save are automatically pulled into the Google Doc list. And by default, the sharing settings make all documents discoverable within my company. So I'm going to be careful with opening any sensitive documents that will automatically be synced. Now that we've shared it with our co-author, they're going to open up the document, and it opens up in the Google Docs viewer. They have another step. They have to go and actually download the document, being careful not to hit Edit Online or Save in Google Docs, because that'll convert it into another format. Once we download the document, then open it in Word, we'll enable it for editing. First step, I'm going to sync the document right away. We haven't made any changes, but we've run into some issues here in the past. So I'm going to hit sync. And as suspected, somehow the documents diverge. So we're going to choose to resync it, and that'll actually cause the other document to sync back down as well. Now that we're on the same page, we're going to spend a little time doing some quick edits to the document, and then we'll bring these documents back together in just a few minutes. We're making some pretty simple changes, but you can imagine a scenario where more complicated changes are happening in the document. For instance, if you take a document offline, take it home overnight and work on the document and bring it back and sync it the next day, you'll have a lot more differences in the document that will have to be reconciled. That looks pretty good. Now we're getting close to bringing these two documents back together. Start the sync process on the right-hand side. Pay attention to the red boxes. That's where most of the changes happened. Now the right-hand side's changed, and it's not quite what I expected. The left-hand side, there's been no change to the document. Although the tool says they're both in sync, they're obviously not synchronized. I'm going to hit sync again on the right-hand side to see if that rectifies the issue. Now the right-hand document's syncing back up, and the left-hand document's syncing back down, and we now have basically two versions of the same document, and neither one really produced the results that either author was looking for. Maybe I can use track changes to figure out what went wrong. I'm going to show the markup to see who made what changes and see who wrote over whom. The Google Cloud Connect tool actually uses track changes to facilitate the merge, and so you actually don't have that tool at your disposal. Google does provide revisions, but it doesn't provide you the rich information that track changes provides. Let's quickly chat about what's going on. Merging is really complicated. Which changes take precedent? How do you handle conflicts? How do you preserve the integrity of the document? As documents diverge and greater amounts of changes happen in two different documents, the merging process gets even more complicated. What happens is that the tool has a difficult time deciding on whose changes take precedence, and it kind of munges them together, creating this Frankenstein type of document. In using the tool for just a short amount of time, we ran into these issues, these merge issues, quite a bit, in a lot of different forms, and spent a lot of time just worrying about formatting issues and merge issues rather than really focusing on creating the document. We also ran into issues with features that just didn't work with the syncing tool. Simple things like track changes, table styles, auto-filtering. Let's see what happens when you actually use one of those features. This is a pretty simple Excel document. We're going to make a quick change to some of the conditional formatting. We're going to just change the icon set. Pretty straightforward, simple change to a document. Now we're going to sync that up. It's syncing back down to the left-hand side. Okay, so this isn't the error you typically receive, although we have run into it a few times. Typically, you just have the choice to replace your current document with the one on the server, or it lets you know that it had an unsupported feature. It also appears to have created another version of the document that we didn't create, and we're going to have to manually close down that application. Well, let's put together a tally of how Google lived up to their promise of improved Microsoft Office. Well, we ran into loss of data, and we really ran into some productivity issues related to these merges. Using the tool kind of reduced the amount of Office functionality we had at our disposal. And we also had some privacy and risk concerns with that auto-syncing capability and documents being sucked up into the Google Doc list. Overall, we found that it makes the process of creating and managing documents more complicated and a little less reliable. This is just a quick overview. Stay tuned for more at whymicrosoft.com.